Good afternoon, runners, and thank you so much for joining us today. Welcome to Facebook Live, the TCS New York City Marathon Edition. We are less than 16 weeks out. Don't worry, we have plenty of time. We've got some people here today to help talk us all through that, runners, as I'm sure all that anxiety is starting to come up because we're in those teen weeks at this point, but we still have plenty of time to train. But we're going to go over lots of fun things today. But most importantly, we want to know where you are listening from, where you are, what questions you may have, because again, we are 16 weeks out and we are getting ready for this. So runners, please leave your shout outs where you're listening from over in the chat box on Facebook or on YouTube. Let us know any questions that you may have as well, as we want to see what's going on, see who's out there checking us, have a good old time today. But I want to introduce our guests that we do have, as we have some fantastic guests with us today. We have our new Balance Trickster, Matt Farrell with us. Matt, how you doing today?
Hey, what's up? I'm super excited to be here talking New York City Marathon finally.
I know it's exciting times. And also we have NYRR Pace team member Devang with us. Devang Patel, how are you doing today, Devang?
Hi guys, I'm doing great. Looking forward to it.
Looking forward to. I know, Devang, you have paced numerous events with us. You've run in the heat, you've run in the cold, you've done it all. How many times have you actually paced the TCS New York City Marathon?
That's a good question. I've done it so many times. I would say at least 5+ years, between 5 to 10.
That's incredible. So runners, if you have questions out there about how to pace your marathon, how you should look at your training a little bit, Devang has some good info. Matt, have you run the TCS New York City Marathon?
I have not. This is going to be my first New York City Marathon this year. I have covered the distance before, but I hear there's nothing like running through the streets in New York. So I'm excited. That's
awesome here, Matt. If you have any training questions, please drop them in the chat. We'll answer those for you here on Facebook Live today. But thank you so much, the two of you, for joining us today. Like I said, runners, let us know where you're listening from. I'm sure a lot of people are either getting their training started or have somewhere within the training at this point. So leave the questions, leave your shout outs on there, Facebook, YouTube. Let us know so we can get going here. But more importantly, we've got 16 weeks out. We want to see what's going on. We want to know where you are in your training. Maybe you're using an online training plan. Maybe you've joined a group. I know we have Team for Kids here with the New York Roadrunners. We have group training with New York Roadrunners as well. Maybe you're using our virtual option, Coaching Lab by Run Coach. Those are all great options out there to get you ready for race day come November 6th. So make sure you have that. If you haven't started yet, if you're local to the area, any of those options are great. If you're not local, if you're listening in Miami, Barcelona, Australia, seek out a local group if you want to have a training partner, because again, you're going to be logging lots of miles over the next 16 weeks to get ready. So check in all that stuff, because again, groups. I don't know, Matt, Devang, have you trained with groups in the past? Are you guys more the lone wolf type when it comes to your training?
Me personally, I'm really so much of a lone wolf right now. I've been moving around a little bit, but I would be anxious to kind of hook up with a group. It's definitely easier when you have a crew that you're able to go hit those miles with.
Devang, are you a lone wolf, or are you get out there with some of your pals? I know you run trails a lot, so I think I see some group stuff with you.
Yeah, I'm a mix of both. I do groups as well as being alone. I love being with people and talking and having that easy pace. But I also like to, on the weekends, get away and be alone or whoever's around. It's just, I like to mix it up.
Yeah, and that's great. Runners are always going to find our own place. We're going to find our own communities out there. Do what's best for you in your training, whether it's for a marathon, a half, a 5K. We all have our own jam. But again, we're here to talk about the TCS New York City Marathon, or any marathon in the fall that you may be training for. So, Devang, a lot of questions that people have. You've run marathons for many years. You do trails. I think you do ultras as well. But as a runner's looking at right now, are there things that runners can focus on to figure out what their marathon pace should be at this point? What should they be looking at? It's early on, but obviously they may have a goal in mind, but they may not know what that pace means, or even how to find that. So how can runners kind of figure out what their pace should be right now?
First thing runners should do is just enjoy the running part. Start early and have a goal. Once you figure out what your goal is going to be, main thing is being injury free, and then to figure out the pace and where you want to be for the goal for your race pace is going to be based on how much. If you have done a half marathon, if you've done a 5K, you can take those recent splits and time, and you can multiply and add it up. So another rule of thumb is if you take your mile time and if you just take all the seconds and times it by 1.3, that's usually the rule of thumb. You can get your pace per mile, which is going to be helping you get the weekly, like the pace for the marathon.
No, I mean, and that's great, Devang, because again, I mean, everyone's kind of figure out, I mean, as runners, we always have goals. I want to break 4 hours. It's always a big goal from most runners, or I want to get that BQ, or I want to finish. Whatever your goals are out there as a runner, as Devang was saying, look at what your times are currently in your training. There's lots of online tools out there. If you're using, Coaching Lab by Run Coach, the plan will be set for you based off of your current fitness level to help you kind of give you that guide, that plan through. If you're working with a group, whether Team for Kids, group training, or your local groups, if you have a coach that you can connect with, definitely talk with them. But I know there's a lot of online tools out there that you can figure that out to kind of give you your paces, not only for what the marathon is, where you should be training for, because obviously there's a lot to look at when you're training. Not everything should be at marathon pace. Not everything should be super hard, because again, you want to be comfortable, uninjured, and ready to go when it comes on race day, and be prepared for the race that you've trained for. And then Matt, we talk about pacing. Our feet do that. We got to make sure we can keep ourselves going. So as a runner is getting started right now on 16 weeks, they're always excited. We have a lot of people that are new to running that are out there. So they're looking at like head to toe, what am I supposed to be doing at this point? Maybe we'll start from the toes. We'll start from the toes and work our way up. So shoes, what are we thinking now as a runner? Obviously New Balance has a lot of tools out there, but where should runners be right now? Because you've done the marathon before, you've trained, Devang, you've done it. Talk about shoes a bit and where runners should be right now.
Yeah, so this is an exciting time for marathon training because it's the summer build, right? So you're really trying to just get those miles in and get that aerobic base back in your system. So one of the best shoes that we have for those long summer miles, your long runs, your day in, your day out type stuff, is going to be this new 1080 V12 that we have from New Balance. Now, this is our company's favorite shoe out there. It's the most comfortable shoe that I wear in my rotation. It's got some nice adaptable mesh here. It's got a big layer of fresh foam, which feels like a Cadillac underfoot, honestly. It feels super plush, super bouncy, but still super soft. And it has a nice rocker here, so you're going to have some efficiency with that running. It's really a shoe that you can trust day in and day out when you're in that summer build for your fall marathon. And one of the best parts is this shoe comes in over 25 different colors. So between now and up to November, you'll have a plethora of different options that you can choose from with the New Balance 1080.
Colors are always great. I don't know about you, but I like colors. I like choices because, again, at the end of the day, you got to look good. If you look good, you feel good. If you feel good, you run faster. Isn't that how it usually works? I mean, does that work for you guys? I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
Absolutely. I'm all about the color too. I know I have a gray shoe here, but I'm all about the color. Look good, feel good. I'm all about that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. Like my wife's always upset when I come home with a new pair of shoes. She's like, why did yours come in the cool color? Mine are always like white or blue or gray. I want the cool colors. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe you need to find a cool manufacturer, a cool brand out there because you want to look good. Because again, you're going to be putting the miles in. I mean, and you want to keep your head up when you're running. But obviously, if you see a friend and, hey, how are you? Oh, cool shoes. You want to get that cool shoes out there when you're running for sure. And now, Matt, let's work our way up. Obviously, shoes are important, but talk about, shorts, tank tops. I mean, obviously, if the three of us are here in the Tri-State area, it is nuclear hot outside today. And summer training for a fall marathon is always challenging. People in Miami are like, don't even talk about the heat, man. I run in the heat all day long, all year long. But Matt, kind of talk about that a little bit. What should runners look at in terms of apparel right now?
Yeah. I mean, it is hot, and when you're out there for up to over an hour, some runners even 2 hours training for these races, you're going to get hot and sweaty out there. And some of the best stuff that we offer is in our Impact collection on the apparel side. I have a pair of shorts here with me as well. I have the 5-inch Impact short, and this is my favorite piece of gear to train in because when I'm going for those longer runs, there's so many different pockets and little zippers and little little places that you can store your goos or extra little waters or anything like that you can take on those longer runs when it's super hot outside. And the next thing that we have is going to be the Impact singlet that we have here as well. You get some nice bright colors with this, and it's insanely light. It kind of disappears on you. It feels like you're not really wearing a shirt, but you have this big bright piece of clothing on you, and it's one of my favorite and one of my staples in my training apparel.
No, and that's great. And actually, I'm going to toss that question to Devang. Devang, what is your go-to training thing? What do you always have on you when you run? What's the one thing you always have kind of in the closet or in your drawer ready to go?
I have a lot of shoes. It's very hard to pick on what shoes to wear every time. Just based on if you're doing a tempo run, if you're doing a long run, if you're going to go on the gravel path in Central Park. It all depends on the day and how hot it is, if it's going to be raining. I don't have one go-to shoe, but I have a bunch of different shoes that I use and I like to run in. And as for water, because of the heat, I always carry a flask of water in hand, just in case, depending on where I'm running. And then a gel or a little small bar, depending on the long run, just to get the body used to fueling.
Yeah, and that's the last piece right there, runners. Hydration. As a fellow runners, as a coach, I cannot emphasize it enough. Wherever you are, that's part of your training. Is you want to be getting your body used to drinking fluids when you're out there. You do not have enough onboard fuel to sustain us for an entire marathon. Not even the pros have that. That's why you see them grab the different hydration bottles when they're on course. If you watch an event, they run by, they have the bottles that are for them. They grab that. That's where they're getting their nutrition from. Everyday runners like the rest of us, we have to do the same thing. Just we need to make sure that we have enough to sustain ourselves for the duration of our marathon, whether that's 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, whatever your time may be. But that's part of your training. So like Matt and Devang were saying, look at those shoes, make sure you got some cool ones out there, but make sure most importantly, have a shoe that fits your foot and your body correctly. Go to a specialty running shop to make sure you have stability or neutral cushioning, whatever you need. Get fitted for a pair of shoes. You definitely want to make sure that you're in the correct shoe, because again, you want to be as injury-free or injury-free completely during your training, especially on race day. And then from there, just kind of work your way up, figure out what's best. If you like a longer short, a shorter short, tank tops, cap sleeves, full sleeves, wherever you may be training. And then like Devang said, get those hydration flasks, whatever you need to do to carry around your waist, your hand, if you prefer over the shoulder when you train, but make sure you carry enough water and nutrition with you. But I know we have a bunch of shout outs coming through, so I think we'll give a few shout outs to some runners out there. We have Jossie Burke always with us on the call. Jossie, thank you so much, and happy Wednesday. Steve Murrah, Steve, Devang, Steve, you're good pals. Hello from New Jersey. We have Billy Chang saying hi. Hey, Billy, thank you so much for joining in today. We have our first New York City. Ashley, hope you're hydrating today. Hope you're being safe. It is like the surface of the sun out there in Midtown. Be safe. Have a good one, Ashley. Edwin, hey, Amsterdam. We have our first over the pond. I don't know how Amsterdam is. I know parts of Europe are on fire also, so hopefully you're having a good one. Edwin, thank you so much for joining us. Andy Santos from Houston, Texas. Sorry if we complain about the heat, Andy. It's, we have winter up here. I'm down where you are. I'm sure it's just an everyday kind of occurrence. Hope you're staying safe, Andy. We have Alyssa from Boston. Hello, Alyssa. Hopefully you're coming out to New York City to see us on November 6th. Caitlin from Indianapolis, Indiana. Hope you're doing good out there. Caitlin, thanks so much for joining. Anna, another NYC bound. Lots of love from the NYC. Usually, I know when Steve's here, he always has this New York City, New Jersey kind of vibe going on. So hopefully New Jersey comes in. We have Robin from Portugal. Hello, Robin. Thank you so much for joining us today. Steve from Brooklyn. And Devang, you're Brooklyn. Where are you? You're in the city or you're Brooklyn?
I'm in Jersey now.
You're in Jersey. You and Steve out there. Oh, Catherine from New Mexico. Wow, I think it's maybe the first time I've had somebody a shout out from New Mexico. Thank you so much for joining. We have Dave from up in Goffstown, New Hampshire. Dave, thank you so much for joining. Rebecca from Orlando, Florida. Again, someone who's used to heat and humidity. Hope you're staying safe down there and taking care of yourself, Rebecca. Miguel showing he's flexing from Seattle. I think even Seattle's hot right now, but hopefully not. Seattle's a beautiful area. Love the area. Miguel, thank you so much for joining today. We have Fran, San Antonio, Texas, but going back home to run this Go Spanish Harlem. Hey, welcome back. We'll see you in November, Fran. Hopefully everything's good in San Antonio. We'll take a couple more shout outs here and then we'll head over to some questions. Reem from Brooklyn, always giving some love. Thanks, Reem. Thank you so much. And hey, we'll end it up on New Jersey just for you, Devang and Steve. I know Steve's out there listening to us. So Lydia, thank you so much for joining. I believe we have some questions coming through. So let's run through some questions here. Let's see what we got. Get ready for our 16-week training questions. Here we go. First one, Jossie. Okay, how long is too long out of practice when you start losing stamina or endurance on your long run speed? Okay, so if I understand, how long is too long out of practice? So it sounds like maybe, Josh, you've taken a little bit of a break or step back from training a little bit, and when we lose that stamina, it depends on what your base was prior to. It's always important to kind of, if you've taken a break from running, whether it be from any multitude of reasons, whether the pandemic got in the way, if you've given birth or had a child, COVID, yes, that little lovely word that just seems to never want to go away, or you just step back because life has taken over and you just haven't had time to run. When you look at how much time you've been away, when you do return for any one of those or any other reasons, just step back in easy. Maybe run by time. Start off slow. Take it very easy. Take it very measured when you get started. If you go out too hard too soon, taxing your body, especially if you're running here in the tri-state area where it's been really hot this coming week, it's going to be more difficult to run. So, kind of gauge how you're feeling. Can you talk while you run as you first get started? Keep it to maybe 20, 30, 40 minutes when you get started, because obviously your endurance will drop depending on how long your time away has been, and for why the time away has been. If you've had a major body change, like I said, sick, birth, any kind of one of those things that's taxing on the body. So be very mindful when you come back. There's no set, it's going to be, if you're gone for 4 weeks, it's going to take 5 weeks to get back, or be gone for 2 months. Obviously, the longer the break, probably the longer time you have to come back. Hopefully everything's good out there, Chauncey, and take care of yourself. But again, come back easy, be kind to yourself. I think it's the biggest thing I take away if I ever have a break is when I come back, just don't think I'm going to be back to where I was, in the peak of my training. So just be kind to yourself as you come back. Elizabeth asking about the hydration vests at the marathon. Okay, why can we not use the hydration vest at the marathon? It actually goes back to the Boston bombing they had. Is anything over the shoulder? They don't want that because obviously those hydration vests can carry more liquid in there than around the waist, so it's more of a safety precaution as well. And obviously everything has to be scanned as we come through for the security at Fort Wadsworth. So in terms of that, our safety team just says, no hydration vest, everything has to be handheld or around the waist. Then obviously on race day, we have water stations from mile 4 all the way through on every mile. So you'll have plenty of hydration on course. So typically what I recommend is runners who train with the hydration vests is that kind of train your body to drink every mile or so, or whatever your mile time may be, every 8, 10, 12 minutes. That way when you come to race day, your body's kind of in tune with what your hydration process will be. So you'll have, okay, if I'm going to run a mile, there's going to be a water station. Then I'll take water at that point. If you think you may need water more often, that's when you look at carrying supplemental, whether it be handheld or around the waist. Next question up from Krishna. Okay, the sneakers that we train in now all summer should be the same ones we use for the marathon. Hey, Matt, I know you're a sneakerhead. What do you got on that one? What do you think? What's some tips here that we can give this runner here?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is a great question, and this is something that we see a lot. For a lot of people, that shoe that they train in for that whole block leading up to the marathon, it'll probably have a lot of miles on it, and you want something with some nice fresh cushion underneath. So if you love that shoe that you're training in and you're confident in that shoe, whether that's the 1080 from New Balance or the 880, then you can absolutely wear that shoe for your race. But I would say definitely get a shoe that has some more fresher cushioning underfoot rather than something that's been super beat up, because you're going to want something that feels great underfoot while you're racing the marathon. For those people that are looking for a speedier shoe or are typically trying to run a faster time, we do have some of those other models like our RC Elite. This is the 50th anniversary model here, and it has that fuel cell foam underneath. I was talking with Paul Zielinski, our senior product manager. This is an awesome TPU blend under here, which is super resilient. It's bouncy. It's got the carbon fiber plate, and it's really meant for that go fast, awesome experience that you get that little edge when you lace it up right before the marathon. So if you want a shoe like this is something that I would definitely save for race day rather than train in all the way up leading into the marathon. But if you're more comfortable with that shoe that you've had from the start, definitely try to get a brand new one of those for the marathon. Break it in a little bit so it's ready to go.
Sage advice. Thank you so much. Question coming through here. Gretchen's asking, what's your view of doing long runs on the tread? I'm going to guess the treadmill. Devang, are you a treadmill hunter, or are you just purely on the road and get it up on the trails?
I am mostly an outdoor person. Even if it's snowing in wintertime, I would try to go out there and run. I don't advise everyone to do that, but do what makes you happy. And I like just being outside. I think I've done maybe one treadmill run ever. But as for the long runs, you can mix it up, try to do inclines and not inclines, and mix it up so your long run doesn't feel like a lot of hard work and you're having fun while you're doing the run.
No, and I think that's great. I think the idea of mixing up a bit is a great idea. I think definitely for the long runs, Gretchen, you should try to get out there a little bit on the road, depending on where you are. I mean, obviously, if the elements are more of a concern, if it's really hot or really cold, like Devang said, if it's snowing, maybe not the best idea to get out there and run if it's not safe conditions. But you definitely want to get out there and get your body used to kind of propelling yourself for that time frame. But yeah, using the treadmill. I mean, I had a friend of mine actually did an entire marathon training on a elliptical. He actually converted his entire training process to an elliptical. I don't know how he did it. It was incredible. He ran Berlin like in 3 and change. I think it was like 3:20 or 3:30, but he was coming off of a stress fracture and the elliptical took the pounding off of him. So in terms of can you prepare yourself for a marathon, literally not running a single step on the outdoor, the answer is yes. It's up to you. So there's never a right or wrong answer there, Gretchen, but all the best. Keep those questions, keep those shout outs coming in, runners. Love where we have an international audience. But definitely, we got 16 weeks out. We got more stuff here from Matt and Devang. So let's jump back into it. There's always the ins and outs. I mean, we've all done a marathon training cycle. We all wish it would go perfect. It almost never does. There's always those days where you don't want to get out there or you're struggling. Devang, what happens, if you have to miss days of training because of vacation or injury or illness? What should runners prepare for, and what shouldn't they do?
I think the first thing is to relax, and everything's going to be okay. It's okay to miss a day or two if you're ill or if you're sick, or even if you're stressed and you had a long day at work, and you got to listen to your body. That's the number one key. As runners, yes, we have goals and we have training plans, and we want to make sure we stick to it and hit all of our goals and pace and time, but it's also important to listen to your body, and it'll help you from being injured, and you'll still be race ready. Just missing a day or two, it's not going to cause you to have a setback.
No, I think that's spot on, Devang. Again, just because you miss one long run, one training, one runners doesn't mean your goal race has been totally shot. You're not going to hit your goal. And actually, some ways missing time for if you're on vacation, you want to run, will actually help you because it'll allow you to have some additional recovery. Because marathon training does take a toll. You are logging some time. You have to get out there on your feet. So if you wake up one morning, you're tired, don't go. If you're injured, take time off. Take care of yourself when you're out there because you want to get to the start line as healthy as you can. And now, Matt, if someone does have to take time off, injuries do happen. Unfortunately, it is marathon training. Maybe it's your first. There's going to be some bumps in the road. What are some tips and tricks to get a runner back on track?
Yeah, that's always the hard part, is getting back on track, right? I would say if you have a plan, definitely keep following the plan that was set in place for you, whether that's from a coach or from a family friend or something like that. Just trust the plan that you had from the start. Um, and definitely give yourself time to adapt as well. I know we had the question earlier too about how long does it take to fall out of shape or something like that. But definitely give yourself time to get back to where you once were, and don't beat yourself up. Ben, you talked about that a lot too. You got to enjoy the ride as well. So as you're coming back or as you're getting off of an injury, give yourself time to adapt. And then once you're there, it'll be a few weeks and you'll be right back to where you were right before.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I know Devang said it, be patient, be kind to yourself. Even if this is your first rodeo, your 10th or your 100th, I mean, yes, people do 100. I talked to someone who's done like 300 of these things. It's crazy to me. Be kind to yourself, be patient. There's always a process. No two training cycles are going to be alike. That's part of the ins and outs. I mean, I always like to joke, if this was easy, everybody would do it. Marathon training is not easy. It takes up a lot of time in your life. You have to put a lot of things on the back burner. Your loved ones, may not see you for a little while. You'll get reacquainted with your family once your marathon is done. But until then, just have a good time out there. But again, we're talking about getting there, and obviously, when we show up to the race, we're going to have the option. The NYR Pace team will be out there. Devang's wearing his cool Pace singlet today. It has the blue and white stripes on it. Full disclosure, Devang helped. Yeah, there it is. My first NYC marathon, 2014. I tried to keep up with Devang for as long as I could. He and his buddy Stephen England. Unfortunately, I did not have a day, and I lost them somewhere on First Avenue in Manhattan. But I have used our Pace team before. They are a fantastic resource out there. But if a runner is looking to run with one of the members of our Pace team, Devang, how do the pacers typically run the marathon? How do you approach our marathons, the ones that you pace? Talk about the even splits as opposed to even effort. Kind of how do you approach, and what should they expect? It's a question that we get a lot from runners.
That's a great question, and like you said, that's a question that comes up every time. When we run the marathon and we pace as a pacer, we always try to run even effort because of the uphills and the downhills. Even effort helps you contain the energy rather than having to hit same time and pace, because the uphills and the downhills vary, and it's just going to go not good by the time you get to the finish line. And you can always find us. We're always wearing our blue and white stripes and New Balance singlet. And we're at the expo. We carry a stick that will tell you the finish time and the pace that we're running. And we also, if you want to know where we're going to be located, usually at the expo or in New York Runner's website, they usually put up what corral we're in, what wave we're in, what color we're in, so you can always find us beforehand as well. And I think getting to know your pace is like very important. You train for it, and now if you just stick with us, we'll do all the legwork. All you got to do is stay behind us, and we'll get you there to the finish line.
I think that last part right there, Devang, is the most important piece. And I know I have paced a couple of times, and even as someone who's paced and someone who's run with pacers, let them do the work. That's what they're there for. If you can follow them, they will get you to your goal. I mean, our pace team is incredible. They are list themselves as humans, but they are next level human, because they are able to get to their times with just amazing ability that they have to get there. So again, if you're looking to use a pacer out there, trust them, follow them. You can find them in that cool singlet there. On race day, as Devang said, they'll have a poll with their time on it. If you come to the expo, we'll be back in the running lab. They'll be out there as well. You can ask pacers questions, talk to them, get all kinds of info. But Matt, I want to toss it over to you. Obviously, we talk about the ins and outs. If someone's bought a pair of shoes and it's not going well, if something that they're using in their training, maybe some of the apparel that they have, what are some tips and tricks? If they got a pair of shoes, maybe one foot feels good, one does not. They get the dreaded black toenails. What are some of the things that runners can look at to kind of try to get in front of that now in their training, so then they get to race day, hopefully they won't encounter these kind of situations?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would definitely suggest not going into buying any products blind. I would do your research. And then one of the best things you can do is go to your local running store. There are experts there that have all the information about all the companies that you could ever imagine, and they can get you sized and fitted and into the right product, because all runners are different, right? Some runners get the dreaded black toenail. Some runners have different issues with their feet, 1 foot bigger than the other. Some people need stability. Some people need neutral. So definitely go to your local running store and get that expertise help from the associates in that store. They'll get you sized and fitted into the shoe that works best for you, right? We never want to force any gear. We never want to have somebody running something just because of color or anything like that. So definitely find the best fitting gear for you. And the best way to do that, go to a local running store and get those associates to help you.
That's great. And then what's your take, Matt, on like rotating shoes? I know some people asked the question before, like, hey, I mean, should I have 2 pairs for my long runs? Should I have 1 pair for during the week, 1 pair on weekends? I mean, obviously I sweat a lot, so I tend to have different, styles of shoes or different mold, but what's like your take, Matt, on, do you use the same pair of shoes for everything, or do you like rotate through a few pairs during your training?
Yeah, this has definitely been a hot topic for people too, right? Like, how many different shoes should I wear? There's so many different workout shoes and long run shoes and that sort of thing. But if you're able to, if you have the budget for, there's definitely benefits to using different shoes in your rotation. The different drops and the different types of foam underfoot and the different technologies in the shoe allow your feet to not grow stale in the same product, and you use different muscles and adapt to different kinds of platforms where you're using different muscle groups, and you're kind of becoming a more well-rounded runner with those different types of models. So whether that's just a shoe like our 1080 here on that fresh foam platform, this is a great long run shoe. This is your easy mile shoe, or something even like one of our new shoes coming out, like our Super Comp line. Like, this is a great workout day shoe if you're trying to get on the track and get some extra little bit of speed for the end of that marathon when you're racing down that final 400 meters. This is a great shoe to use too. So there's definitely some different things that you can mix and match, whether that's a workout shoe like this one here, or a bunch of different other types of training shoes. There are benefits. So if it's in your budget, feel free to grab more than 1 shoe, but get the right fit for you.
That's a great last piece there. And that last shoe you held up, Matt, I remember you brought that to, we're talking about Brooklyn. I love that shoe. I think I'm going to have to seek that one out and try it, because it looks like a fantastic shoe. I love how the mesh top is and all the extra support. So hopefully they have it in my size somewhere here local in New York City, so I can give that one a go. But I think we have more questions and more shout outs coming our way. We have just a ton of people out there giving us some love. So if we have those ready, we'll take some more questions and shout outs, or I can. There we go. We have Krishna from Warwick, New York, just upriver. Hope you're having a good day out there, Krishna. Thank you so much. Jessica, more love from Tampa. I think Tampa's got to be like winning the race here. Where's our people from California? I'm a California guy. Come on, California, let's rep. I know Roberto's upstairs, and he's Barcelona. We got anybody out there? Scarsdale, Jenny from Scarsdale. I know Devang. Matt, where are you? Are you tri-state? Are you Boston? Where are you?
I'm down here in Jersey as well. I cover New Jersey and New York, but I'm down here in Jersey too.
Man, Steve's just giving, I can see Steve giving the woof woof for New Jersey. Julia, there we go, New Jersey. So there we have it, folks. More New Jersey love. We have, this is one of our YouTube. It's part of their handle, the Mott7. KC giving some love. Thank you so much from the Midwest. We have Sherry. Look at that. More New Jersey coming in hot. There we go. Literally hot Austin today. Julie Jones coming from Birmingham, Alabama. Hope you're doing good. Thank you so much for listening today. We have Jay from Wisconsin. Thank you so much. We have Cassie. Okay, New York City. There we go. Getting close. I think Florida, New Jersey are 1-2. Hopefully New York's coming here, coming up third here. We'll get a California person soon. Here we go. Cheesy nacho fries. Wow, is that a thing in New Jersey, guys? I don't know. No, okay, here we go. Hey, Montreal, David, thank you so much. Above the border, thank you so much for listening today. Yeah, we got some, we have Volcano 0201. It's good to be here once again with New York. Yes, thank you. And hello from Orlando. I think it's our second Orlando shout out. Thank you so much. Otto from Uruguay and living up in the Hudson Valley. Otto, thank you so much for joining today. Yeah, Julia. Yeah, the long run on the tread this week, good call. It's just too hot, especially if you're anywhere in the U.S. I don't know if you guys, I mean, my son watches the news almost every single day. It's weird that, but he does it. And man, I just kept hearing about the Earth seems to be just on fire today above the equator. So be safe out there and good call, Julia. Carl, coming in from Manhattan. Aaron, Utah, Salt Lake City. Aaron, thank you so much for joining today. Teresa, repping Queens, quit weapon the Astoria. Thank you so much, Teresa, for showing Queens. I don't think we have anybody from the Bronx yet today. I think it's, or Staten Island. So we have 3 of the 5 boroughs represented, as well as lots of people from New Jersey, including our own coach, Steve, as well as Devang and Matt. So here we go. Hey, Brooklyn coming in strong. There's Andrea. Looking at Brooklyn. Thank you so much. We have Greg up, Colorado, coming in strong. Thank you, Greg. Hope you're doing well out there. We have someone else coming in from Queens. Looking forward to the New York City. First time in person. Let us know if you actually did the virtual back in 2020 or 2021. But yeah, awesome to have you out there. I mean, I know Devang's run it. Matt, you've already said it. New York is a unique experience. It's a beautiful day. It's a long day, but it's an absolutely amazing time out there. You get to go through all the boroughs. Tons of love as you make your way through. But I think we'll get a couple more shout outs here and then we'll move over to questions. David Nurse watching from his home in Queens. Hopefully the AC is on and you have a nice tall glass of water or something refreshing to keep yourself hydrated. David, thank you so much for listening today. Hey, Queen's coming in strong at the end here. Jennifer, thank you so much. Yeah, oh, Boston coming back in. James from Boston. James, hope you're doing well. All right, here got some questions coming in. Recommendations for fueling. Both you gentlemen are, have run marathons before. Matt, we'll start with you. What are some recommendations or what are the things that you've found that work well for you in your fueling strategy?
Yeah, there's definitely been some times when I didn't do things right, sometimes where you hit the nail right on the head. But one of the things that I've always learned from running 20 plus miles is that take the fuel before you absolutely need it, right? We don't want to get to the point in the marathon where we're cramping and we're desperately dying for a sip of water or some Gatorade or a goo. Just get on a schedule, and you can do this throughout your training too, and kind of working a schedule into it of when you want to take your goos or your water or whatever you're taking. So I definitely recommend taking it before you absolutely need it because it's very hard to come back from that feeling.
Sorry, I was on mute. My bad. I apologize, gentlemen. I put myself on mute to have a drink of water. Devang, what are some recommendations that you have for fueling? Are you like a gel guy? Are you a shot blocks? Are you real food when you run?
I mostly use honey stingers, which is also out on the marathon course, and water. Fueling is key, but when you're doing on training, try to fuel and get your body used to things and figuring out what works for you and what doesn't, and don't wait till later on in the race when it's too late.
I think the key takeaway there for both Matt and Devang hit the nail on the head. Do not wait. The way that I was always told is like, think of your energy source like a bucket of water when you start your race. And when the gun goes off and you start, you're going to pull a cork at the bottom of it. And this is going to slowly drain and drain and drain. So when you're adding your fuel during the race, whether it be any kind of nutrition or liquid, you're just trying to keep that drain because you're never going to get it back to full once you start. But you want to keep it from hitting the bottom because as both Matt and Devang said, once you hit the bottom, there's no coming back from that. So part of your training, part of what you're starting here with 16 weeks out is practicing when you need that fuel. Do I need it every 30 minutes, every 40 minutes, every hour? How much do I take? Do I alternate between drinking and eating? What do I have to do? Use these long runs as dress rehearsals, not only for what you're going to wear, but what you're going to fuel with, so that when you show up to your marathon, you have a game plan in place. You find your pace team, your pacer out there, and you have a great day. But good luck, Jackie. We have Caitlin that is asking about some strength training, the frequency, pure running for this difficult course. Yeah, that's always an interesting one. People ask about cross training. What should they do? When do you do strength training? Just if you haven't done strength training yet and you're going to incorporate this as part of your running process, I would say take it very easy when you start, and it should actually be part of your harder days. Throughout the course, usually when you have your week of running, you're going to have some off days, some easy days, your long run day, and then probably some speed days. Your easy days and your off days should be exactly that. If some people like to do cross training on their easy days, cross training is not like going down to your local gym and doing leg day on squats. That's actually a hard effort that when you go to do your long run or a speed workout the next day, your legs are going to feel that. So in terms of how you look at your strength training, those should be part of, if you can do it, as part of your speed days if you have the strength. If you're going to do it on the side, just make sure you give yourself time to recover from that before your next long run or for your next speed day. In terms of what kind of frequency you should do, maybe once or twice a week. If you haven't done it before, I would say start with 1 day a week, not 2 days a week, because again, you're going to be asking a lot of your body just in terms of the running that you're going to be doing. And if you want to look at other cross training ideas, obviously everything from swimming to cycling to yoga or any kind of stretching routines. But again, even those, if you haven't done them before, may tax the body a bit more. So just kind of keep the frequency low when you start, because again, the key is those speed workouts, your long runs, is running a marathon. So just kind of be very cautious. And if you feel like you're getting tired, either pull back on those strength train days, remove them from your schedule. If you're feeling it a little bit. The adage always goes, it always feels good when you first start. You never know it's going to be too much until it's too late. So just kind of be mindful, listen to your body, and take it easy out there. Brooke Eaton coming in from Los Angeles. My first California shout out. Thank you so much, Brooke. I need to take a slow based on injury. How many miles max can I get away with on a long training run? I don't know. Kind of interested to see what Devang had to say on this one. I have my thoughts on it, but I run by time. Hey, Devang, when you do your mileage on your long training runs, do you run by time or do you run by distance? I think you may be on mute, Devang.
Oh, sorry. Can you guys hear me?
Gotcha.
I'm back. Sorry about that. I usually do it by mileage. Sometimes I do it by time. Right now, I've been doing it as mileage, and it varies from person to person. I know people who've done marathon training plans, and they kind of away with their max long run as even 13 miles. Some go to 16, some go to 18, some to 20, some to 22, and some actually even do the full distance before they do the marathon. So the max mileage depends on you, but I think a good distance is roughly about 18, 20 miles for like a long marathon training.
I think that's a great way to look at it. I know a lot of times people say, typically when you get past a certain time frame, if you're going past 3 hours, 3:15, 3.5 hours on your feet, you're actually getting into a position where you're asking more of your body than it needs to recover. So when you look at your long runs, whether the mileage may be, try to watch that time frame as well. Keep it around 3 hours, 3 hours and 15 minutes. Anything beyond that, you're really beginning to tax into the body where it needs more time to recover. Especially if you have 2 or 3 long runs, your peak long runs throughout your training cycle. Sometime probably September and October. Just especially if you're coming off of an injury here, you may want to back that off a little bit more. Maybe try to run by time as opposed to mileage. That way you don't have to think, I've got to get to 8 miles today. I'm just going to go for, an hour, hour and a half. See how that feeling, kind of build your time via that way. It's a safer way to do it because time on your feet is always going to be beneficial as you get to race day. But good luck out there, Brooke, and hope you had fun watching the All-Star game at Dodger Stadium last night. So we have Doug asking about strength training, complementing your running training, how often and different regimens. He's also from Southern California. Matt, do you do any kind of strength training for yourself? Are you just purely like so you have? So what kind of ideas do you use in the gym for your strength training?
Yeah, so I've incorporated a few different strength training things into my regimen. I always think it's good to be a well-rounded runner, not necessarily just doing the mileage, but I don't do anything too heavy. In the gym, I do a lot of body weight things, a lot of resistance band type lifting and strength training. So I wouldn't recommend, as you said earlier, Ben, going in and just hitting the squat rack right before a long run or anything like that. But start slow if you're getting into strength training. Find a coach or a close friend that has some recommendations or has a plan that they followed as well. You don't want to go blind into something like this as well. I would say start slow with some body weight things, move into some resistance bands, and you can go into some free weight type things. But you don't need a ton, but you definitely can add that to your training as well.
No, I love that idea. The body resistance is so crucial. People think, oh, just, how's that going to help me? I mean, if you sit at home and you just do squats, you do lunges, push-ups or planks, you can do wall sits. There's so many things out there that you can just do with your body that can build your strength. You don't have to go to the gym and, hit the squat rack or jump on and grab the weights or get on any of the machines they have there. I know after like our group training runs here in Central Park and Prospect Park and Astoria, our coaches lead our runners through a series of body resistance work when they're done. And that could be 15 or 20 minutes after one of your speed days, and that can be enough to kind of help build that up. And then you give yourself either the next day off or maybe an easy run to let those muscles repair. So love those ideas, Matt. The resistance bands are great as well. But Doug, all the best out there in Southern California. Hope you're having a good time, and go Angels. Josh is asking about the follow-up on hydration. Recommendations to take liquids at each mile. Can you hydrate too much with Gatorade Endurance? That's an interesting one. I know, again, but both of you gentlemen here have done marathons before you trained. Matt, I mean, how often do you, when you're training or when you're going for your race, how often do you find yourself grabbing some water or any kind of liquid nutrition out there?
Yeah, during the summer, it's a little bit different because I feel like you got to hydrate way more. But when I'm really in the bulk of my training, it's definitely like a 30 to 40 minute time frame that I usually shoot for. It's not an every mile thing. I think just for me personally, having a bunch of liquid in my belly while I'm trying to hit some paces isn't the best. But I would definitely say spread it out so your body is able to process what you just took in, and it's able to kind of disperse those nutrients where it needs.
That's great. And then I know, Devang, I know that you pace as a pacers out there. We try to let runners know where the water stations are, where the Gatorade is going to be, to encourage them to take it. Obviously we've seen runners in different states that they go through there. I mean, I think it's pretty safe to say that you can overhydrate and have too much, have any kind of nutrition when you're out there. But what are some things that runners need to watch for, either under or over hydrating when they're out there on the run?
Yeah, so you don't want to take Gatorade at every aid station and just chugging a lot of Gatorade, because you want to make sure your body has enough balance of salt and like sodium and I guess sugary stuff. That's why when you're taking a gel and you're getting that nutrition, I follow with water. This is why I always say and recommend always trying the fuel that you're going to use, so your body can get used to it on your long runs, so it doesn't mess up your stomach and end up having to use the restroom or anything that's going to bother your stomach. So it's important to hydrate, but also taking like Gatorade, but not overdoing it, because it can cause, restroom breaks.
Yeah, and a restroom break halfway through a marathon is not something that we want to do, because unfortunately the clock does not stop. The clock keeps going even as we're trying to wait in line and get it as fast as we can. But I think Devang hit the nail on the head with this. Is the comment earlier. It's nothing new on race day. You really want to be practicing on your long runs, what you're going to be taking, when you're going to be taking, and how often. That way you have that race day strategy and roadmap in place. But Josh, all the best. Start practicing out there and see what works best for you, sir. We have Andy asking, how often should we get sports massages? Again, that's a personal choice. It's one of those things where if you haven't done them before, start off very easy. If you've done massages in the past, your body may be more used to that. Because again, when you get a massage, it is releasing some toxins, and it does do a little bit of work on the muscles. So you may have some residual soreness So again, if you're looking at when to get them, how often to get them, I would start off on the easier side, maybe even get a recommendation. If someone knows they have a good sports masseuse, I use them a lot. They're really good. They're a runner themselves, or they're a triathlete. They kind of know what to go off of, so they can get the best massage. And also, if anything goes wrong, or if you have to have extra time off because your muscles are sore, because I've gotten a massage before and you're like, whoa, I am actually pretty sore today, because it releases all those toxins and kind of breaks down a little bit. So, I probably wouldn't say more than once a week, depending on what your budget can get. But again, I would look for some recommendations in your area to make it the best, but all the best, Andy. I will try to read that question. It's kind of small there. I'll do my best. I think it was, we have someone from our YouTube. It's I bought all the New Balance gear for my next marathon, so I should be a sponsored runner. What are the psychological effects of wearing specific gear on performance? Well, Matt, I know we have someone here who's looking for a shout out from the New Balance crew, but yeah, we kind of joked about it earlier. The color of the shoes are always kind of a fun thing to do. But what are is there a psychological effect of wearing certain gear for performance as opposed to really what is going to work best for you on race day?
I think so. I mean, I'm not a doctor or anything by any means, but when you have that singlet, whether it's like your team singlet if you're part of a club, or your special pair of shoes or your socks, just having that special pair of whatever that you put on for a race day just kind of gets you in that mindset and gives you that little bit of a runner's edge as you get to the starting line. So if you have something that has a cool colorway, whether it's something that's bright and neon green, or if you're an all black type or an all white type person when it comes to your shoes, like that's totally cool too. But there's definitely something, and I don't know what it is psychologically. I don't know what the technical term is, but I always call it like the runner's edge for when you get that feeling when you lace up your special pair of shoes, or put on your special socks or your team singlet.
No, and it's 100% true. There is something that goes into like feeling good. And how many times have we seen on social media someone's flat runner that's out there? They have all their stuff laid out. There is a process to going into getting yourself mentally ready for a race. It's it's a physical side, it's an emotional side, it's a mental side. But again, you're practicing whatever you're going to be out there for. Look for the gear, work what goes best. I think the team singlets, I tend to wear my team singlet a lot for that. It does feel good. I only wear it when I race. So there's probably some psychological effect there, Matt. So great call out. But all the best, and looking forward to seeing you all that decked out New Balance gear. We have Bo. How should we approach hill training in our buildup? Yeah, the TCS New York City Marathon is anything but a flat course. We do cover quite a few bridges out there. I think if my memory serves me correct, we cover 5, including the infamous Queensboro Bridge. So hill training will help you out with that. You don't need to overdo it. But again, good hill training, hill training in general works on everything from speed. It builds strength. It helps with turnover. It helps with form. It helps engage that core and those glutes to drive those knees up. It helps keep that body upright. So hill training is important, whether it be a specific hill workout or just simply incorporating some hills into your long run. People always are concerned about the bridges here, the bridges there. Every time we pass through a borough, we have to go over. The highest point on the marathon course actually is within your first couple of miles as you go over the Verrazano Narrows Bridge, but you'll never even know it because you're only 2 miles into your marathon. You'll feel like $1 million out there. Obviously the Queensboro Bridge comes around mile 15. That's always the one that people are concerned about. So any hill training you have, Bo, is going to be beneficial. It does a lot of good things for you, but it doesn't need to be like strictly. It isn't like Boston where we have a ton of downhill at the beginning and Heartbreak Hill at the end. We just have a couple of hills that are placed, in not the best of times on the course. You got that Fifth Avenue climb from 110th to 90th at around mile 22, 23. That does take a little bit out of the legs if you're having a rough day. But best of luck out there, Bo. We have Sandra currently having some knee issues, going to the PT. Very good. Listen to those PT suggestions on how to ensure proper training despite knee weakness. I would say if you're going to see your PT, I would talk to them more intimately about that information, as they'll be able to give you some ideas, because they're going to want to probably strengthen that knee area up, as well as probably other areas of your legs. People tend to think if I have an injury on one side, this is the problem, but it could be a balance issue. It could be something else seen. It could be a hip. It could be core. It could be up and down the chain. So talk to your PT about that. They may be able to look at some other things, though they may want to look at your biomechanics a bit more. Because again, not just because one area hurts doesn't mean that's the problem. It could be you're compensating or overcompensating for something else somewhere along the line. So talk to your PT. about that, because again, you want to try to eliminate as many issues as you can, try to keep yourself as strong as you can. But hope everything's going good, Sandra. The best of luck. But talk to your PT, get some insight and some ideas. They may recommend some strength as well to help build up some of that weakness. Sylvia, any suggestions to training after having COVID? Lungs have no capacity and legs feel like lead. Yeah. Full disclosure, I just got over a small bout of COVID myself. It was my turn. I dodged it for over 2.5 years. Was not pleasant. We talked about it earlier. Come back slow, come back easy, especially if you are having, I have talked to some people who are having some breathing issues. The heart rate still tends to spike. The legs still feel very heavy. If you have to do run walk. You can do a couple of minutes on, then run for a minute, kind of build that back up. If you're really having issues kind of breathing, if you find yourself still struggling, recommend seeing your primary care physician. Talk to them. They may want to run some tests to see how things are going. But be safe out there, because again, this COVID's been a weird thing for a lot of people. Some people come back like nothing ever happened. Some people have months of lingering side effects that are just unfortunate. So Sylvia, if you're feeling kind of those things and you can get out there, if your lungs are half capacity, maybe if you can just go for a walk for right now, or do 1 minute on, 1 minute off, see if that can kind of help a little bit. If you're still struggling, go see the doctor, but best of luck out there and stay safe. Alrighty, Mark's asking about rest days. I'm in week 1, it's a rest on Friday, long run Sunday, cross on Sunday, then rest on Monday. I saw Wednesday through Friday as rest of New York City training plans. Thanks. All right, gentlemen, let's toss this one out to you. Hey, Devang, how do you feel about rest days? I'm a big fan personally, but what do you think?
I love rest days. I think at first when I was younger and didn't take it seriously, but now I take rest day very seriously. I think it's a great way to take that time for your body to recover, and it's a good day for you to enjoy some time, even with your family, friends, and just have a day for yourself.
I love that. It's the best way. I love my rest day. I love the days off that I have. And now, Matt, I'm going to ask you. Mark's actually asking. He has a rest day. He's in week 1, so we look at that. First of all, he has a rest as long across, and then a rest. Week 1 of training. Everyone feels good. What could be going on here that Mark is looking at that that maybe he doesn't see down the line that could be helping him out here with some extra rest here.
Yeah, so week 1 is definitely one of the smaller weeks that you'll have in your training block. So just be patient. It's okay to have a rest day, especially at the beginning when you're starting to build that mileage up towards your goal mileage that you might have. So definitely take your time. You don't want to jump into too much too soon. So having a rest day that's scheduled on a certain day of the week is great to allow your body to recover, allow those legs to heal from being calloused again, and just like Devang said, gives you some time to take a break from running for half a second and go spend time with your family or go do another hobby, and it allows you to kind of just restart on the next day, which is always great.
Yeah, runners, don't chintz on those rest days. Trust the process. That's always the hardest part, especially in week 1. You feel good. You want to do more. You want to feel good in September when you really need to get into the meat of your training. So right now, just kind of trust it through. And just because one plan may show a rest day on one day and another on another, this is your plan. Your plan is set up and designed to build you up safely and to get you to a certain point. So kind of trust the process a little bit. I'm not sure what training plan you're using here, Mark. If you're using Coaching Lab by Run Coach, maybe reach out to your coach and ask that. If you're using an online tool, maybe move some things around to see if that impacts where things fall. But stay away from doing too much too soon. It is week 1. You've got 15 more weeks of this fun stuff and training in front of you. So be safe, be smart. We want to see you in Staten Island in November, healthy and ready to go. We have Noel asking, how good is the support along the route? I've done some races around Europe, and then support can be quite low. I try to be as fair as I can be, but I will say the support on the TCS New York City Marathon course is probably second to none. Typically we have water stations every mile from 4 to 25. So the minute you come off the Verrazano Narrows Bridge into Brooklyn on 4th Avenue, you've got water every single mile out there. So in terms of if you need water, if you need Gatorade, you're going to be well stocked there. In terms of the energy gels that are out there, typically there are 2 stations. This year we'll have Science and Sports. They'll be our gel and nutrition sponsor out there on course. Usually we have 1 spot in Brooklyn and then for sure up on 1st Avenue. So in terms of what you're going to be using, you want to have your nutrition carrying with you, as there won't be much of that. But if you are going to be drinking, if you're just doing water and Gatorade the whole time, you will be fully supported very well. Full specifics on when the course will be mapped out will be coming later. But I said traditionally, miles 4 through 25, you are good with water about every mile out there. Depending on our pace team, they make sure that they point those out so you don't have to miss anything. Typically, there's water on both sides of the street. If not, the water tables and Gatorade are typically a block long, if not longer. So no need to go to the very first one that you see. So know you will be supported well. New York does it well. We want you to have a fantastic day out there. We have Catherine. Can you explain the process and length of time from getting to the bus to the drop-off at the start? And do folks eat on the bus? Yeah. I know Devang has done this numerous times with the Pace bus. Matt, you'll be experiencing this for the first time, depending on how you get to Fort Wadsworth. But yeah, the length of time to get from the bus to the start line and the time you're going to be on Fort Wadsworth is going to be it's a pretty long day. So typically, if you're taking the bus from like Midtown Manhattan, you're looking at about an hour or so bus ride over to Fort Wadsworth when you get off. Again, we have to close the bridge to get everybody back over it. So the buses will stop running at some point so we can get the bridge closed, get it prepared for everybody to run back across. If you're going to be taking a ferry to Staten Island to then take a bus, it may take a little bit longer to get on there. But yeah, it's going to be a longer morning out there. It just takes a process to get 50,000 people onto Staten Island and then get them all back across the Verrazano Narrows Bridge into Brooklyn, and off they go. So if you're catching the bus at 5:45, 6 in the morning, but your start time is not until 9:30 or 10 or even 11, don't worry, the time will go fast. You ask about eating. Yeah, people do bring what we affectionately call second breakfast because you'll probably wake up at sometime 4:30 or 5 in the morning. You'll probably have something to eat light, but bring some food with you to nibble on as you're going to be 4 or 5 hours from the time you get on the bus until you probably are going to start. So definitely have some food with you to kind of snack on, again, to keep your energy stores nice and high. That way when the gun, or in this case the cannon, goes off, your fuel source is as topped off as it can be. And you will have a great go of it. I think we'll take one more question, and then we will call it a day. I know there's a lot of questions out there. Thank you so much. We'll take one more question to wrap it up, and then we'll let these gentlemen get back to their day. So final question of the day coming at us. What do we got? Oh, Devang, I'm glad you're still here. This is the first time running the marathon. Our pacers in each wave.
So we have pacers in mostly every wave. Well, each wave does have pacers. Mixing it with corrals. Every wave does have pacers. Corrals, not every corral has a pacer, but there will be a chart that usually comes out. New York Runner does a great job in putting the pacers in the right place, and they usually have multiple pacers. So I usually do 330, and they have it in different corrals, different colors. They try to get as many people as possible. They have grown the pace team and gotten more paces out there. So a lot of people have more options and don't have to worry about getting it switched to the corrals and stuff or not being in there. So I think there's definitely more pacers now, and definitely in each wave.
Yeah, definitely. And Sandra, when you come to Expo, come on back to the running lab. We'll have all the information where the pacers will be in each wave and each corral to get that information. We got you covered. We want you to have the best experience as possible. Matt, Devang, any parting wisdom for our runners as we go out today? Matt, do you have any final words of wisdom as our runners head off into their Wednesday?
Yeah, find that gear that you love, man. I mean, on race day, you're going to have that runner's edge. So find what fits, find what you love. And I can't wait to see you guys out there.
Perfect. Devang, I know you got to get back at it. This is your lunch break. So any parting wisdom for the runners out there? Oh. I think you may be on mute. I don't know if we may have lost Devang. Oh, unfortunately, we may have lost Devang. He's got it out there. Oh, that's a bummer, Devang. Well, I'm sure he's got some good wisdom. He's given some great insight. But runners out there, this is 16 weeks. Everything should feel good right now. You want to be relaxed. You want to be just kind of getting into the flow of where your training is. As we always say, you don't want to go out too fast on race day. Similar with the training, take it easy. We have some questions about where they should be. Follow your training plans. Trust your process out there. But have at it, runners. Have a great day. Thank you so much. Tons of questions, tons of shout outs. We'll be back again probably sometime in the next coming weeks. I think sometime in September as we get back at you again. But runners, be safe. Have a great day. Stay hydrated wherever you may be. And we will see you again soon.